Hi everyone. So yeah, it's late, getting late. It's a lot darker than it normally is this time of day. But unfortunately, this is the last day of Indian summer, and that's what we call it here in Ohio. I don't know, but you have that elsewhere. But it's that last little warm day that comes right in the winter or in the fall, and after that day it gets cold, and it just stays cold. It'll stay cold clear up about 3/4 of the way through spring here in Ohio. It's sad to see it, nice weather go, but that's how it is. And about 20-25 miles north of here, they're having storms really bad, and they're having tornado watches and stuff up there because well, that's what happens. A cold front comes in, it brings some nasty weather with it. And wow. Me and Marietta, if you've ever met my Chit-Chat Marietta, she's looking for mice. But that's her. We're bunkered in here for the night to enjoy what's left of this nice weather. By morning, it'll be very cold. And it reminds me. This reminds me of old Mr. Rabbit. You remember Mr. Rabbit? Oh yes, Marietta. Yes. So, yeah, you guys probably know Mr. Rabbit. He used to have his tail. I mean, it was like so long, about so big around, about so long, and beautiful snow white tail. But he knew it. He knew it was beautiful. And he wouldn't play with Marietta Chit-Chat. He wouldn't play with the dogs. He wouldn't play with most of the other animals because he had that tail, and he thought he was something else. He was conceited, and he thought he was too good. He wouldn't even let the humans come up and pet him. He'd run away because that's how it is when you're conceited. He was actually, sort of a miserable puke because of it. And pride sometimes makes a person miserable. But anyways, the day after the cold set in, just like it's going to set in this morning, it snowed. And that day, Mr. Rabbit couldn't find food. Oh, he was pretty sad then. Hungry, no friends really. He noticed Marietta Chit-Chat come by, and Marietta has a big old fish in her mouth. And she's getting ready to have her dinner. And Mr. Rabbit comes up and says, "Hey, where'd you get that fish, man? I am so starving hungry." And Marietta says, "Oh, that's easy. I just dangle my tail in the water till the fish comes up and grabs onto it, and I feel the weight. I just stand up and reach back and get him, and there's my dinner." Just like that. Mr. Rabbit says, "Wow, that sounds pretty good." Of course, it was just Marietta being sly after Mr. Rabbit had been so unpleasant to her. But Mr. Rabbit makes his way down to the creek and finds out, oh man, the creek's frozen over. He thinks for a while, I know what that sly kitten did. He went and got himself a rock, and he started beating on that ice until he beat a hole about so big around in that ice. And then he could stick his tail in. He sticks his tail in, he sits down on the ice, and he waits. He's saying to himself, he's thinking, if that Marietta Chit-Chat caught a big fish with her tail, I'll probably catch a big string of fish with my big, beautiful tail. I'm so much better than her. He sat there for probably an hour, never felt anything, couldn't figure it out. He's like, well, those fish couldn't resist my tail. I'm just not dangling my tail in the right place. I better get up and move somewhere else where the fish must be. So he goes to get up. He's stuck. He's stuck on the ice, and he starts screaming for help till Mr. Bear hears him. Mr. Bear comes up and says, "Yeah, what do you need?" And he tells him what he was doing, and Mr. Bear just starts laughing. "That is not how you go fishing." He says, "That won't work." He says, "Well, get me up off of here. I can't get up." So Mr. Bear takes a couple of tugs. Oh man, he is stuck. So he says, all I can do is give a heck of a tug. And so Mr. Rabbit says, well, please do whatever. Get me up. I'm cold and I'm hungry. And so Mr. Bear says, okay. And he gives him a yank. And sound like that. Well, what had happened was Mr. Rabbit's tail had frozen in the water. The hole had closed up. And Mr. Bear, when he picked him up, ripped his tail right off. And all he has now is a little stump of a tail. And you see Mr. Rabbit around this year, check it out, you'll see he just has a little tail now. But, you know, that's the kind of position that arrogance will put you in. So you don't ever want to have too much pride. Be too arrogant. So anyway, welcome to the winter, my fellow Ohioans. And everyone, please try to stay warm and dry and happy and all cuddled in with your loved ones. And don't be like old arrogant Mr. Rabbit. Yeah. So until next time, bye-bye.